so you don't need to yell out for me. I wasn't fishing. That's cool. So I'm Brian. I'll be your host today. I work at Chaosium, where we get to dream the dreams of dead gods for a living, which is pretty cool. And it's been my absolute pleasure to assemble like this Avengers-level team of next-level talent for all of you here at PAX. So I hope you're excited. Now, I'm holding the wrong thing. Hold on. You can tell I practiced in the mirror earlier. All right, I'm just going to bring them out one at a time, in no particular order. Please welcome Kevin Powe. There he is. Yeah, either end is fine. Jess Hutchinson. Nina Nikolic. Meer. And Salim. For those of you who were excited to see Aimee, she's unfortunately unwell, so let's all just send good vibes to Aimee. Well, thanks everyone for coming. This is So You Want to Be a Voice Actor. I think I've got some strats here. We've got a cool thing here. Does this work? Did it work? No. Now. Oh, right. This is not a conversation, but you can involve yourself. If you tweet any questions or comments or thoughts you might have, you can tweet them using the hashtag PAXVoice, and I might read them out. I'll obviously credit who it is that's reading it out, and we'll work it into the conversation as we go. Does that make sense? Everyone understands? Cool. Yeah, all right. Everybody loves Twitter.
Or the shambling corpse of what used to be Twitter.
Yeah. There's probably a better description. All right, so everybody, I just want to welcome our wonderful panel. So I'm going to take you go down the line. Please, say who you are and maybe some stuff you've done that the audience might know you from. I'll start with Abu and go down this way.
I'm going to apologize in advance, guys. I am jet lagged as hell. But yeah, I am Abubakar Salim. I'm a voice actor, game developer. I do a lot of things. Assassin's Creed Origins is something that I'm really proud of. Thank you. Worked on with the good guys at Critical Role as well. They're really cool people. And then launched my game, Tales of Kenzera, which is very kind of surreal. So yeah, thank you. That's me.
Hello, I'm Meer. You may know me from my work in the Mass Effect trilogy. Thank you. And various other BioWare games. And also recently, my work with Chaosium, doing Bookshops of Arkham and Graveyards of Arkham. I was the keeper of arcane lore for those.
Hello, I'm Nina Nikolic. I'm a voice actor from Melbourne, so yay, hometown, let's go. I actually have a few games showing at PAX this year, so if you go to the PAX Rising area, please play The Sacred Acorn. It's also available right now to play, and go talk to the cute little black chicky birds, please. They're adorable. They're all me, by the way. And there's also another game which is amazing called Matchmaker Dungeon Heart. There's a lot of our Australian voice talent in that game. Go check that out as well. And Fruit Bus is coming out at the end of October. Yeah, bunch of stuff coming out soon. Yeah, yay.
Hi, I'm Jess Hutchinson. I'm going to be in a game coming out hopefully this year called Dead Static Drive, which is very, very exciting. I'm also in PuzzleQuest 3. Oh, I just made the mic pop. That's like a rookie error.
There's no screen. There's supposed to be a pop.
No, there's a filter. I mean, that wasn't my fault. And I've also done like various other non-game related work, including the Glam Gizmo, which is a fiction podcast, which is pretty cool. I've done lots of different things. That's me.
Hi, I'm Kevin Powe. I'm based out of Melbourne as well. If you've played Sons of the Forest, I dropped you off at the island, so I'm sorry about what came after that.
I didn't know that. That's really cool.
Yeah, the chopper pilot, first few seconds. You can also hear me in titles like Warframe. Earlier this year, I played a couple of characters in Shiny Shoes Inkbound as well, which was an awesome experience.
So everybody knows that voice acting is it's nothing more to it than just doing a silly voice, and we recognize that most of you think that that's exactly what it is, and we're going to go deep into. I'm joking.
Silly?
Silly. Everybody loves silly voices. So we're going to talk a lot about the realities of voice acting and the industry and that, but we also wanted to do some cool, fun stuff. Because we've got these wonderful, talented people here. So I did tell them we were going to do something. They don't know exactly what it is they're being asked to do yet. I'm going to just pepper them throughout the conversation. Aimee's not here, so it doesn't. I'm going to. If you all could do your best not to look at the upcoming slides. That'd be great.
Okay.
Don't look at them.
I'm just not looking.
Right. I would just like somebody to just take a moment, and who would like to volunteer to do Aimee, the thing I had prepared for Aimee? It doesn't gender, voice does not matter. Okay. Anybody just shoot before I pick.
Oh, wow.
Kevin. All right. So Kevin, all I want you to do but for the next couple of minutes, just think of a recent character that you've played, and that is the character that you're going to read a line out for, okay? And in a couple of minutes, all right? So just have to think about that. While Kevin's thinking about that, we're going to pass this. So Jess, I'd like to ask you, along with everybody else, but beginning with you, what was your path into voice acting?
I'm a regular actor as well as a voice actor. It feels weird to differentiate the two, so that's where I really started. And I'd also, through my acting work, managed to do some motion capture performance, and then that kind of led from one thing to another, which led to the path of voice acting. But I do think it's a good place to start because, to me, voice acting is it really is about the characters that you're playing. Even if you're doing grunts and exertions, it's really about what you're bringing to the table in terms of this character's life and backstory and history. So for me, I think starting as an actor actually really, just as a regular actor, really helped. And I did the normal training thing of going to classes, and the more I stepped into the world of voice acting, I also started talking to more experienced voice actors and learning from them. So that's how I get into it.
Mark, what about you? What was your pathway into doing voices for money?
The path to voice acting was a relatively simple one, and it's one I recommend to anyone who wants to be a voice actor. Get in on the ground floor with BioWare back in the 90s, and then just keep getting hired by them until you get cast as the lead in something. That is essentially what I did. I much like was mentioned, I don't really make a differentiation between acting and voice acting. It's just, what gig are you doing today? Are you working on a play? Are you working on a commercial, video game, what have you? Whether you're doing on-camera stuff or voice acting, when you don't have a job besides actor, you sort of do the acting gigs that come along. So I did, as I said, do an audition with BioWare back in, God, it must have been 1998 or so, back when they were doing the old traditional, what they used to call cattle call auditions, where they just got every actor in town, in Edmonton, where BioWare is based, to come in, do some voices. I got cast for a single line in the final cutscene of Baldur's Gate 2. So we had to play a 40-hour game to see my one line. But that one line was apparently enough for BioWare to keep hiring me again for subsequent projects, and worked on bigger and bigger roles. Eventually, Mass Effect came along, and during I guess it was back in the concept art stage. I was working on it before I was cast as Commander Shepard, coming up with the ways that various baseline alien races would sound. Like, what does a typical Krogan sound like? What does a typical Solarian sound like? And during that process, I was asked to audition for Commander Shepard. I did not think I would get it, even after many callbacks and being told, it's down to you and two guys from LA, and I thought, well, one of them will get it, and I'll play a bunch of aliens. And then I was very surprised and pleased to hear that I got cast in the role, and I got to do a bunch of aliens, so it all worked out.
All right, well, here's to our first digression. We'll come back to Nina and Abu for that same question in a moment. Kevin, did you think of a character?
Yes, I did, actually. Sigo Savar from Warframe.
From Warframe?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you to, everyone's going to be doing this, I'm going to ask you to read a tagline from a famous movie that I haven't told you what the movie is yet. The movie is Psycho. Has anyone seen Psycho? It's really good if you haven't seen it. Like, I'm serious, I only watched it the first time last year, it's really good. Spoilers. So, Kevin, do you know what the tagline is for Psycho?
I do not.
You don't? Okay, so I'm just going to show you the tagline. I'm going to ask you to read it out. What was the Warframe character's name?
Sigor Savar.
Okay, so this is the tagline for Psycho.
Check in, relax, take a shower.
There we go. Well done. Sorry, and because Kevin stepped in for Aimee, up next is also Kevin. So, so Kevin, think of a different character. We can't pass. If you ask it to pass on to somebody else, it's going to rock everything out of whack. So you're just going to have to take one for the team and do 2 in a row. Okay. All right. So think of another character while Nina is telling us about what her pathway into acting was.
So I was actually a Twitch streamer for the past 10 plus years, and I'm sure that there are many Twitch streamers probably in the audience who this panel is literally for you. I know that there are a bunch of my peers in the streaming space that have been asking about how to get started in voiceover and stuff like that. I got really lucky in that I knew Kevin from when I got a degree in animation at now SAEQ. And one of my colleagues, who's now a sound guy in Sweden, was like, why don't you ask Kevin about it? And I was like, oh, I feel like I don't want you to bother him and whatever. And Kevin was like, yeah, let me teach you. And now we're on the same panel, and that's super cool. But anyway, Kevin taught me acting, so yay. That's how I started. And I mean, I just kind of... Acting's been this thing that I feel like has been in the periphery of my life for so long. I always wanted to do it when I was in school, but I was the really silent nerd in the art room who was like, I don't need anybody to see or talk to me. Someone else is the showbiz guy. That doesn't need to be me. And when I started getting older, I just started finding that I really enjoyed that craft. I enjoyed listening to what goes into it from other actors, what their process is, exploring the different states of humanity, what makes people do what they do, why do they come out that way, all those kinds of things. And exploring that kind of stuff is, I think I've always lived in, I've enjoyed that state of play ever since I was but a toddler. So I don't know, it just became the thing that I finally felt passionate about, to feel like I could learn something new every single day and not get sick of it, and just kept eating it up all the time. So if that's how you feel about performance, about the craft of acting, then absolutely, especially if you're a streamer like I was and you have some base level tech knowledge to set up some voice-related things at home and make it sound half decent, then you're on the way. Just, yeah, acting classes, baby.
Abu, what was your path into the career?
Yeah.
Well, your acting career. I know you have like 7 careers, right? You do a lot of things.
No, yeah. It was it was weird because I think, you know, I always wanted to do video games. Always wanted to be in video games, and I went to drama school. Very lucky to sort of get into drama school, and I kind of conjured off my own back a voice reel. For all these characters that I just pulled out from the internet and made up, and sort of did this voice reel and got it recorded, and then I sent it out to agents. But funnily enough, I didn't actually get a voiceover agent through my voice reel at all. And how I got Assassin's Creed was through my acting agent, right? And it was only until did Assassin's Creed, got that gig, where then I was very lucky and fortunate to have kind of rolled into video game work, got myself a voiceover agent after that, and essentially started doing work there. I mean, in England, we've got, I don't know how it is over here, but we've got these studios called Side, Liquid Violet, which are the main, UK, they're the main spaces where they do a lot of voiceover stuff for games. And once you kind of send yourself in for these guys, they kind of put you in this pool, and they can bring you in, tag you in for all sorts of stuff as well. So that was kind of how I rolled into it. But then what ended up happening was you end up meeting other game developers, other studios, and they start then being like, oh, yeah, I know your voice, or I like your voice. Let's bring you in for, like guard number 1. And you're like, okay, I'll do guard number 1. And it kind of builds up from that way. And that's sort of how I kind of conjured and got myself into it. It was just really just talking to a lot of other developers, a lot of other people, and as well as just putting myself out there as much as I could, really.
You touched a little bit on a question we're going to cover later, which is about networking and the importance of that. So we'll come back to that too.
Sure.
But first, Kevin, did you think of another character, or are you doing the same one again?
No, I've got another one. I've gone all the way back to Judge Dredd from Countdown Sector 106.
Like Judge Dredd, the Judge Dredd?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. All right, so same deal. It's going
Judge
to be
Dredd of the Manhattan Dreads?
Just as a random aside, I used to work with a woman whose name was, I'm not going to say her full name, but her last name was Justice. And she was married, that was a name she took from her husband, who was a cop, and Officer Justice. Anyway, sorry. Think about this a lot. All right, so Kevin, you're doing Judge Dredd, and you're going to be reading the tagline for a little film called The Big Lebowski.
Oh.
Do you know what the tagline is for the film The Big Lebowski?
No.
No, all right, so get ready in your best Judge Dredd.
Her life was in their hands. Now her toe is in the mail.
All right, and Jessica, you'll be up next, so just have a think about the character you would like to do yours for. All right, so all right for the rest of it. So let's start with Nina this time. What's something you've learned that you wish you'd learned earlier in your career? You got it all figured out.
Everything. I knew that this question was going to come up, actually, and I was seriously thinking about it. And it's one of those things I feel like has a null value. You can learn things, but you won't learn them until you're ready to hear them. And I know that specifically, there were instances even working with Kevin where it's I knew I wasn't getting it, but every interaction of doing the practice and trying something different and then coming back, things eventually start clicking over time. So it's I wish I knew all this stuff earlier, but also I wouldn't have taken it in either if I wasn't ready. Does that make sense?
Not to me, but no, it does. That makes
you
sense.
can tell someone how to act, how to network, how to do all these things, and we're giving you all this information, but the thing is, until you try doing it yourself and work out which of those things works for you, how applying each of those things differently works for you, that's when the knowledge really settles in. So you kind of you can learn everything and have a dictionary, but until you're ready to actually take it in, you get the knowledge when you're ready. Yeah.
Abu, do you agree with that? Is there anything that when you were earlier in your career that you were I wish I'd known this? Don't tell the casting director to screw themselves. That would have helped me out a lot. I don't know. What?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think again, you don't really know what you need to learn until you go through it.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those ones as well where. I mean, I'm a big believer of no regrets. Make as many mistakes as possible because then you learn that way. So yeah, I don't know, man. I think I feel like if I could look back and be I wish I knew this and I wish I knew that, I wouldn't be in the position that I am in today. And I think that's because of the learnings that I've had to go through. So yeah, I mean, just go for it, really. Just don't even think about, I hope this is the right move to make, or hopefully this isn't the wrong move to make. It's screw that, just do it. Because at the end of the day, what have you got to lose? I think that's the big thing that I learned. I remember being told, there's a lot of people out there as well. I love these things, by the way, because again, it's you get these questions of oh yeah, how do you want to be a voice actor, or how do you start voice acting? It's the best advice I can give is just do it. Just because you'll find everyone's path is different, right? Everyone's pathway is unique to their own way. And I think you're not going to discover that unless you just go for it. Obviously there are ways and little tips and tricks here and there, but ultimately your path is your own path. And so I find, yeah, through elements of like, oh, what would I have, what mistakes or elements would I have changed? I wouldn't change anything, because again, wouldn't be here if I'd known those mistakes or not.
No. I cannot wish the fault undone, the issue of it being so proper, as the Bard said, right? That's exactly what you're saying, pretty much. Kevin, what about you? Is there anything that you wish you'd done maybe differently, or that you'd learned earlier in your career that you've learned now?
Yeah, absolutely. Watching people like Nina and Aimee, who are based locally in Australia, just watching what they've done about being focused about what success looks like and treating it as a business, I think is something that I wish I'd paid more attention to. I've always loved the craft, and I love, sitting in a room and working on accent details for an hour is just, it's an endless joy. But there's this great quote from Oscar Wilde where he says, if you are determined to become something, then you pretty much are guaranteed to become it, and that's your punishment. So if you're serious about it and you apply yourself, you'll get there, but be specific along the way about what that looks like and what the next step looks like as well, so that basically you're moving to where you really want to be.
Jessica?
Oh, my gosh. I had an answer and now it's gone, but I kind of maybe want to build on what you were saying, Nina. I think it's, and yeah, actually what everyone has said, I think it's really great to come to these kinds of events and to listen to voiceover actors and other people who are doing the work and telling, they're telling you their pathway to success or their pathway to doing what they're doing. Maybe, for me, I feel like it would have helped to have heard someone say, hey, it's great that this is your goal, but if you get so caught up in the, oh, but they did this and then this and then this and then this, and so I have to do this and then this and then this, and that doesn't work for you, and you might get frustrated or disheartened by it, your journey is never going to be the same as someone else's. You might end up doing some of the things that we've discussed today, but you might also do something else entirely different, and that's okay, because that is your path. And whatever your path looks like, if you really do love this and if you really do want to do this, you've got to love the journey along with it. Because you might get Kmart auditions and be like, I wanted to work on the next version of Warframe. That sucks. But you know what? Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. You do the work and you learn something new from every single job that you do, and it becomes a part of who you are, and you become a better actor as a result of it. So I think really, have your goals in sight, but don't necessarily get caught up on mimicking someone else's path, and enjoy the ride, whatever that looks like.
Yeah. Clap for that one. That was a good one. I am looking through the audience questions. A lot of people are asking, very practical.
Wait, don't I get to answer this one?
Oh, sorry. No. Yeah.
Okay, all right, great.
I'm just having a quick digression.
Oh, no, that's all right.
One moment. There's a lot of very practical questions that are coming through that we are going to cover in the conversation. And then somebody whose a username I'm not going to read out because this is a family show, has asked a question that I'm just going to ask you to everyone do a rapid fire response. So we're just going to start with Abu, go down here, and I just want you to just say the first one that comes to mind, trying to think. His question is, which character of yours would you want to see in PlayStation All-Stars 2?
Rokan from World of Warcraft.
I mean, considering how much of my mortgage he paid, Commander Shepard. I owe it. I owe it to him.
In what? Sorry, what was the...
PlayStation All-Stars 2, which of your characters that you've played do you want to see in PlayStation All-Stars 2?
Is it like a brawl type situation?
I don't know.
If it is Grandma, absolutely.
I mean, I got to play Irene Adler once in a Sherlock Holmes production, and I loved her. So she's a scrappy girl. She'd do damage.
Ziggy from Battle Chef Brigade.
That makes sense. Yeah. Sure. Mark?
Yes?
Anything you would have done differently early in your career?
Well, I'm glad you asked me that, Brian. I'm basically going to copy Abu's answer about no regrets, because the mistakes you make are what teach you lessons in life. And I'm also content with where I am currently sitting, and I don't want to mess anything up because, if I go back and try to know things before I was supposed to know them, I'm just going to mess up the space-time continuum and cause it to collapse in on itself. And frankly, the space-time continuum is where I keep all my stuff.
You can't do that to him today. He's already in the space.
Brian's trying to get me to destroy reality, and I won't do it.
You know what's crazy?
What?
I'm sitting next to Commander Shepard. Oh, man.
Jessica, did you think of a character?
I did. I'm going to do something a bit different, but I did.
Okay, who is the character?
I'm going to do my character from Dead Static Drive, and I'm going to do all of this in grunts and exertions, if that's okay with you.
That might work out because the film you're reading the tagline for is called The Thing.
Let's go.
All right, so in your best Dead Static Drive bark.
Oh, God. Oh, no. Oh, I did this to myself. Okay. Oh, Jesus.
Well done. Nina, you will be next, so have a think of your character that you would like to read out a
already know, but
tagline
I'll
for
wait.
the unknown film that is coming up next. So as I said, this is our first sort of more practical question. So I know a few of you are Melbourne-based, but Nina, I know that you travel between Sydney and Melbourne. Mark, you jet set all around all the place. Abu, you're here now and you should be asleep. So we wanted to ask, what is the best way to record auditions or reels when you're first starting out, or really when you're traveling? Like, because this is a question that people had, like, how do you record? Like, I don't have a recording studio. You might have one in your house. You might be lucky enough to do that. Or, what is a practical way to go about this? I'd like to start with Nina this time.
Have friends everywhere, preferably also voice artist friends everywhere. But also, have y'all seen any photos of those hotel blanket forts that pop up sometimes? So typically it'll just be several thousand doonas and whatever device you have, if you don't have a travel rig, whether it be your phone or whatever. Although, to be honest, a lot of the auditions that I get specifically request you to use your home studio, because a lot of our work is remote, based in the island that is Australia, that is so far away from LA and London. So they expect us to be able to have a certain quality standard. So I think it's quite rare for us to get those kinds of things, but when they do come up, the phone and several thousand pillows and doodas. Yeah.
Mark, what about you? What's your recording strat? Like when you were starting out, or versus when you're on the road and you might have to do something in a pinch?
For the most part, I've been very lucky because at home, unlike a lot of people, I did not bother building a little sound studio in my house. For one thing, I'm not very technically inclined. For the other thing, I'm lazy. But I also am fortunate enough that I've got two sound studios, one about 5 minutes from my house, one 10 minutes from my house, and I know both owners, and they're always, very, very accommodating. So if I need to lay something down, I will do that. The stopgap thing is, of course, the cardboard box lined with foam that I stick my head in. I basically have one of those. I go into the walk-in closet in our bedroom and just stick my head in that. And I literally did it on my phone with something called Voice Record Pro. And that's usually good enough. It's apparently good enough quality for auditions. In fact, there was like a commercial where they, I did it, sent them the audio, and they said, great. And I said, okay, so when do we actually lay it down? And they went, no, we're going to use that. And I was like, I did this on my phone with my head in a box, right? And they were happy. So, yeah, it works out sometimes.
Abu, you were just recording some ADR for House of the Dragon in the back room. So how do you go about recording stuff while you're on the go? I'm joking.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I'm joking. I'm playing with him because he's jet lagged, doesn't know what planet he's on.
No, oh, it's funny. I used to go through this whole thing where all auditions, like be it either self-tapes or voiceover recordings, where I had like the biggest and coolest setup, like self-tapes, like coolest camera. I would, for voiceovers, I'd be like fighting to get into a booth. And every one of those auditions that I've done in those settings, I've never got. The ones that I do get have been on my phone. So I literally am like setting up my phone on, like, if it's a self-tape, I'll set it on a table and I'll be like doing it. And then they're like, "You're amazing." And I'm like, okay. But for a lot of video games, all on my phone. Like literally, no booth, just a quiet room. And I'm just, shouting into my phone for voice memos. And for some absurd reason, it works. So that's what I do.
Like all of Assassin's Creed Origins was just in the phone?
Assassin's Creed Origins was very different. That was in a room with, people that were really scary. And like, I felt like I needed to really do my best. But yeah, no, but like, I'd say, I think Rokan for World of Warcraft was on my phone. A lot of the stuff that I can't even talk about was on my phone. So yeah, it's funny. I think ultimately, again, like you put yourself in an environment where you feel comfortable and like the most relaxed. Don't worry. Like I think obviously worry about the quality. You don't want to do it on a busy street, obviously, but like I find that every time I did do it on my phone, I kind of, it's not that I didn't care, but I didn't care. And I end up getting the job and then I really care. And so, yeah, that's essentially it.
Jessica, what about you? What's your recording strat?
Oh man, I used to have a wardrobe that I could walk into that I had really heavy blankets that I could kind of encompass myself in, and just a USB mic that I would plug into my laptop. And now I have a different closet situation, and so I use a combination of blankets and clothes and the same plug-in USB mic. And I remember when I was starting out, I used to pick your brain all the time and go, "So the condenser mic, what do I need to be able to?" And you'd just be like, "Jess, no, just do what's going to be easy for you." And I went, the USB. That's the easy one. And you'd be like, "Then do that." And so I did. And it's way easier. And that's all I have to really worry about. Because when you then go into the studio, they've got all of the fancy setup and you can just do your thing and not have to worry about it. But I've also had to do some things on my phone as well. Technology's great. You don't even really have to spend that much money on it these days because you've got everything you need in this magic rectangle that's in your pocket. So, yeah.
Kevin, you and I have actually worked together a couple of times. So I remember once we were recording some stuff that you were doing for me, and we were up to the stage of the recording where we were doing some barks and such, and there was supposed to be some panting, and I'd be like, "I'm going to act and I'm going to pant." That's what I thought most people would do, but you said, "I'm just going to step away for a moment," and you did like some jumping jacks and push-ups, and then came back, so it was like authentic panting. Anyway, I think about that a lot, but you have to... Sorry. No.
Sorry, is there a question here?
No, he just
Mr.
thinks
Method
about you while you
over
do it.
here, I
But he's calling Mutton Sheen. But like, what's your like home setup? Because you've been doing this for some time now, and you seem to have a lot of like when you did some coaching with me too, as in Kevin was coaching me, not the other way around. You had a lot of thoughts and feedback and about how to make things work in your home. So I was hoping you could share some of those.
Gotcha. Everyone here has talked about sort of treatment, and blanket forts go a long way when basically you're trying to treat a space. When I'm at home nowadays, like I use a Studio Bricks. I had to get that because, when my daughter was just about to be born, I was like, well, how can I scream and she screams and neither of us interfere with each other? We want our own screaming space. Because you can treat a room, but I needed something that was soundproof. But when I started out, I don't know if this is getting off track from your question, I was just using moving blankets that were hung on mic stands. But yeah, nowadays I use the Studio Bricks just because it insulates the space completely, and so then you can do stuff like you can be up and dying or loudly dying at 2 a.m, and you're not going to disturb anyone, including your neighbors.
But like to your point, I think your setup is really awesome because I when I use my blankets, you know, in an audition scenario, I find I can't move around like I can when I'm in your booth because I'm gonna whack a blanket and stuff's gonna fall down and then I'm gonna be in the dark with my headphones on and I won't be able to know what's going on. So I think there's a real benefit sometimes to, if you do need to be physical, having the space like that. I appreciate your space. Thank you for letting me borrow it. I love you.
Oh, thank you. But yeah, to underscore what other folks have said, like the two things that are going to trump mic quality, because a lot of people obsess about microphones. Talent and room treatment are the things that people are going to hear first, and talent, I think, is first and foremost in that. Listening to the great examples you've got here. So, yeah.
We've got another audience question, which is it's a little more sentimental. So take a moment if you need to think about it. But Phil from the audience asks, which actor do you look up to? And what is it you admire about them? So I'll give everyone just 4 seconds, and then I'm going to call one of you randomly. Ooh. Nina.
All of them.
Do
I have to pick one?
Well, if there's one you particularly admire, like, I don't know, is there? It's cool if not.
I mean, off the top of my head, like everybody, I can't like cherry pick. It's true though, because it's the same as asking what's my favorite game. Like, it's just been everything all the time. Although, not to toot your horn, but World of Warcraft has been like my biggest baby for the past 20 years. So, yay. But like, I don't know, there'll be the tiniest experiences that all of a sudden I'm like choking on my cereal and I'm like, what was it about what just happened that made me feel that? And I don't even know who that actor was, but it left something. So,
that's really nice.
So I don't know. I don't know if I have an answer for that, to be truly honest. Like all these people have done amazing work, but there's not one.
You can just say it was Mark Meer. You don't have to be coy. No, I'm joking.
It's true.
No, that's yeah,
Please, I blush.
Abu, is there someone that you look up to, and if so, what is it you admire about them?
Yeah, it's funny. As soon as you asked that question, I think my mind went blank, and then a name actually popped up, and it's Judi Dench.
Oh. Dame Judi Dench?
The big reason for that is I remember I was doing a play, and someone, one of the cast members mentioned like a really cool, well, it wasn't even a cool thing, it was just a very simple thing that Judi Dench does, Dame Judi Dench, where she like leaves her bag of like shit at the door and just does the job, does a thing really, really lovely, and then leaves, takes it with her and goes on. And I really respected that. I thought that was really cool because I think there's a lot of this idea of, especially as an actor, of trying to come in and bring your emotions and whatever, and actually, truly, it's a job, right? You do your thing, and of course you bring an element of it, but it's an art. And I think like that, there was something that I've kind of taken from that little piece of advice, and also seeing her work and seeing how amazing she is. Just keeping that in mind and really going for that. So yeah, that was the first name that came into mind when you asked. So.
Yeah, she's great. Hot take, Judi Dench, good.
Hot take, I'm a Libra, you can't make me choose things.
Jessica?
Oh, I don't like picking things. I don't like when I have to make a choice when it's just so many amazing people. I'm going to do one slightly cliche thing, and it's not being prompted, I promise. I do really admire and look up to the people I'm on this panel with, because I think about the work that you've done and your incredible professionalism and the way that you bring those characters to life, and I am in awe, and I'm like, why am I sitting here? but no, I really, really do look up to all of you, and for the other, maybe non-cliched answer, I don't know. I was just thinking about Andrew Garfield, and in particular, I think, he lost his mum a number of years ago, and I think he's become an even more beautiful actor since, because of the way that he channels his grief into his work and in the depth of feeling he brings to his characters. I think he's one of the most gorgeous performers on the planet. I'm not talking about how he looks. I really am talking about how he feels everything so deeply, and he has a beautiful vulnerability, and I think I really admire that about him.
Mark?
If we're talking voice actors, I guess my idols as far as that goes. But back when I was a kid, of course, it was Mel Blanc who did so many voices in cartoons. I was a big Flintstones fan when I was a kid, and then, of course, all the Warner Brothers stuff and whatnot. More recently, it would be a dual answer. The actors, of course, from the original Batman series. Mark Hamill as the Joker and Kevin Conroy, sadly passed, as Batman. And for me, everyone always talks about, who was the best Batman actor, who was the best Joker performance. There's a lot of talk about who's the best Joker performance these days, but I think I always considered to be the real Batman, the real Joker. That they were the essence of those characters. So yeah, I'd always looked up to them.
I'm a big Batman guy, and even to this day, when I read Batman comics, those are the voices I hear: is Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill. So I agree. Who didn't I ask? Was it Kevin? Yeah. Did I ask you about who you look up to?
No.
Oh, would you like to answer? You don't have to.
Yeah,
okay,
sure,
please.
sure.
Yeah.
There are more voice actors than I could name, including people on this panel. But if I was to think of a particular actor, I would probably pick Charlize Theron, because if you look at the early stages of her career, she stuck it out at a point in time where the job that you would get is, I'm the victim. I'm the person basically who is the wife who has the trauma happen to them. Devil's advocate, astronaut's wife, so on and so forth. And at some point in her career, something pivoted to a point where she could start getting these incredible projects where you see the capacity, you see the ability that she had all of this time to be this presence, this force of nature. Atomic Blonde is just an incredible film, and you can see the scope of the training that went into everything. So it's not just about the physicality, but I think that's a big part of it, because she was one of, I think it's fair to say, like, we grew up with people like Sigourney Weaver playing Ripley in Alien, but then basically there was this drought. And I think Charlize Theron was one of basically the vanguard of a new wave of people going, hey, you know what? It doesn't have to be a dude. We can have these incredible nuanced roles for women where they can, because, there's nothing about this, just basically stripping the gender essentiality from the role and giving people a chance to go, go kick ass.
If you like Charlize Theron, I would highly recommend reading the book Blood, Sweat and Chrome, which is about the making of Mad Max Fury Road. Very, very good oral history stuff and some great Theron content in there about her method and everything. We have another quick digression, except this one, Nina, you have to wait a little bit longer to do your cool bit, but this one comes from the audience. It's going to be a quick one. Again, we're going to start with Abu, go down the line.
Right.
Actually, we're going to start with Abu, skip Mark, finish everyone else, and then do you... No,
I gotta go with that. I gotta bring it home. I gotta bring it home. All right.
No, we're gonna do Mark last for reasons that will become apparent.
All right.
So Biohazard. Shout out if you're in the audience still, or if you're just on. Okay. Biohazard asks if I can request all the guests to do their best rendition of "I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite store on the Citadel."
What? Oh yeah, man.
Does everyone know the line, or do they want me to
say it again?
Phone? I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite store on the Citadel.
Your favorite what on the
Store.
If you're familiar with that one from Mass Effect 2.
Okay. Hi, I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite store on the Citadel.
Woo! Nina.
I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite store on the Citadel.
Jess.
I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite store in the Citadel.
Kevin.
I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite store in the Citadel.
Mark, you got one in the canister for this?
I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite store on the Citadel.
Hundreds of hours, man. This is nuts.
It never gets old.
Everyone did great, by the way. I would have cast all of you before I cast me.
And what a great opportunity that you're going to cast them, because they've just now met you, which feeds into our conversation about networking. We've done this before.
There we go.
Abu, you mentioned a bit earlier about meeting people and network. So, like, what do you have? The question is just, do you have any advice about networking? Does anyone not know what networking is when we say that? It sounds like corporate leet speak, but it just is basically just about people that you know. That's pretty much it. People you know who you connect with and develop. Anyway, and it's more difficult than some people give credit for. I remember a few years ago, I think it was after PAX, it was one of the first years David Gator was here. So David Gator is one of the writers on BioWare and Dragon Age, and we all had badges on that had like our names. And we were at an event, we were just having a gentle conversation, and someone walked over to us and like literally looked badge, and they're like, oh, you, hey, I'm, it was very awkward and uncomfortable. So there are right and wrong ways to network, right? Okay. So Abu, what advice would you give for people like looking to network to literally grow their web of contacts in the industry?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say, there are tons of events now and spaces and places to go and meet people and talk with like-minded creatives and individuals. And I think ultimately just be yourself. You don't need to sell anything. You don't need to try and do anything really. Just be yourself and present yourself in the best way possible, which is just being honest and truthful. I found every time that I've gone to a networking event with the intention of trying to come out with like names and numbers and cards and everything, it never really works and it becomes tiring. But actually the most honest conversations you have in those spaces end up being the most fruitful ones. And so yeah, that's sort of my experience. Go to as many events as you can if you want to, and just be yourself.
Kevin, how's your network experience?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things around networking that... Networking always gets a bad name because people assume that it is that sleazy, trying to come out of the event with names and opportunities. But I think if you turn up to the space where you're trying to build relationships and, as Abu said, just be yourself, but also basically be of use, so find ways basically to serve the community that you want to be a part of, and then just basically remember as well it's a long game. Because one of the things that can be really disheartening when you're any kind of freelancer is that you will have, and I've had a number of these, there are situations where someone will come up to you and they'll say, hey, you remember that conversation we had 5 years ago? Well, we're ready to work now, so if you're still keen, let's do the thing. It really is a long game, and I think that's where you get just this massive... You get a massive rate of attrition because people lose heart when you don't see results straight away. If you're doing something like, working out regularly, it's really easy to see basically those minute changes. But everything that happens with networking is outside of yourself, so you can't see that. You can't see that happening. It's invisible to you.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons you and I are connected, right? I think we met at a thing, well, it wasn't like this, but it was like an event somewhere after one of these things. Anyway. Point is, that was 7 years ago. We don't hang out every week.
No.
No,
that's right. We met at one. I think it was one of the mega devs. Yeah. Just basically, it was sorting out a ticket. Yeah.
Cool. Nina.
All of that stuff. Yeah. I think that whole idea of networking got put in my head as well when I started working in game dev, and I decided, particularly when I started working in voiceover, that does not work for me at all. I just feel awkward, I feel horrible approaching people, and at the end of the day, I want to work on projects that I'm proud and passionate about anyway, so I found that I'm a lot more successful helping push everyone else, support, as you said, be of use. I've been so excited lately, I've had people connecting with me on LinkedIn that I then got them to meet each other to make stuff because I was like, oh my God, there is this other person who you would love. And that, I think that gets me more excited to talk to people. If someone's working on a project that I like, I tell them. It doesn't necessarily mean that they'll have anything for me or whatever. I send opportunities to friends that I think that they're right for. Those kinds of things go a long way. And I think that when more of those things take up my time than sitting there for 15 minutes thinking, how do I type this email when I don't have an entry point into this conversation? Like, it's just so much more productive because the passion is always going to win over trying to force the conversation to happen. I can't force people to see me, but I can create opportunities for people to laterally find what I can do and what I'm capable of through, I don't know, however other people's lives that I touch in whatever way. So yeah, I've been enjoying that much more, and it's still networking. It's just a different way of going about it, I think.
I also wanted to ask you if you've chosen a character for the
Oh yes,
the next thing.
Pumpkin.
You've chosen. Okay, who are you doing?
Absolutely. I'm Grandma from Fruit Bus.
Grandma from Fruit Bus?
Fruit Bus,
Fruit
yes.
Bus.
Coming
Well,
out
Grandma
October
from
29th.
Fruit Bus. Have you ever seen the film The Naked Gun?
I love that film. It was absolutely brilliant.
All right. Well, this is Grandma from Fruit Bus reading
Yes.
the tagline for the Leslie Nielsen classic, The Naked Gun.
If you only see one movie this year, Pumpkin, you need to get out more often.
We're going to get Abu and Mark to do something a bit different in a second, but we're going to finish off that question about networking. Mark, what do you? So you mentioned earlier on that ideally everyone should get in the ground floor at BioWare. In
Yeah,
1998.
so I'll give my
Yeah.
same advice. Get in on the ground floor with BioWare in the 90s. For this, you will need a time machine, but yes.
No, well, that just reminded me. So if anyone's ever wanted to be a writer and you've read Stephen King's book on writing, which is a masterpiece, by the way, but he's got a chapter he's slapped on at the end about, here's how to get published. He's like, just write a polite letter to a publisher and they'll love to read your thing. And that's just absolutely not at all how it works anymore. So I was hoping that, given that, you've said you've been working in the industry, not to make you feel weird, but probably for longer than some of the people in the audience have been
Oh,
born.
yes, definitely.
I mean, how has networking developed over time, and how have you adapted to it?
I don't know because I've never done it. I do have the fortunate thing that I was in a video game trilogy that was quite popular, and so people call me up and say, "Hey, do you want to be in this game?" Hilariously, a while ago, a long time ago, I had a demo. I don't have an updated demo reel or anything like that. I do what I think I will enjoy, and then that often leads to more and more things. For example, my association with Chaosium, working in the RPG space, that all came about because the guys from Beamdog invited me to go down to D&D Live in 2018. And they knew I was a gamer. I'd done some stuff for them for Baldur's Gate Enhanced Edition. So because I went down to that, because I thought this will be fun, it's going to be sort of a cosplay event, and I like D&D, and we'll hang out. I met all of the streamers that I ended up doing stuff with in subsequent years. I met B. Dave Walters, I met Becca Scott, I met all these people that worked in the RPG space. And because they knew that I enjoyed that sort of thing, I ended up getting invited to be on their streams, and I met a lot of good friends. And it was all because I just wanted to have fun. So sometimes you don't have to approach it necessarily as, this is going to lead to the next step of my career. This is good. You can just do something. I think I'm going to find this to be creatively fulfilling. I'm going to find this to be fun. And if you follow your bliss, often it can lead to happiness. And sometimes success.
Jess, what's your networking experience been like?
Ooh, I'm the worst person to ask because my kind of golden rule is I treat it like I'm going to make a friend. And that doesn't mean I'm going to make the friend that's going to drive me to the airport or the friend that I can call when something horrible has happened and I'm like, I just need to vent. I'm talking go into it and think, I could just meet a really nice, cool person and we could get along and we could form a connection, a nice, friendly connection. And that often is the thing that has led me into different things. Like you said, Mark, when you just follow your bliss and you make friends with nice people who like you and you like them and you get along really well, then all of a sudden, cool people like Nina go, hey, you need to talk to this person because they're working on this thing and I think you should absolutely be working on that with that person. And that kind of has been my experience over the years as I go to events. I'm on the board of Women in Film and Television Victoria as an actor and producer, and I went to an event recently through that and met a bunch of people who I'm now going to be working with on something which wasn't intentional. I just went to this thing like, hey, I'm just here to do the thing and I'm representing all of the other board people, and now we're doing something cool together. So I think making yourself available for those kinds of gatherings is really important, and then just go in with the expectation that you're hopefully going to make a friend, a nice friendly connection, and see where it will lead you. Take the pressure off yourself. If you go in there going, I'm going to come out with these outcomes like you were saying, Mark, it just makes it all awkward, and you'll feel awkward and they'll feel awkward, and no one wants to feel awkward.
Well done. All right, well, we've got a few minutes left. We can go a little bit over time. We're not going to go too over time, but we've got two things left I want to do. First thing I want to do is I'm going to take Mark and Abu through what I would like them to do for everybody's entertainment, including mine.
Okay.
And while they're briefly looking over this, I'm going to ask the three Australians on the panel, because put your hand up if you're not from Australia or you don't live here. Okay, well, the next few minutes might be kind of boring for you, but I thought most of the people who are based in Australia who may be interested in getting into voice acting, I thought that while Mark and Abu look at this, you could maybe share some thoughts about the spaces, Discords, Facebook groups, whatever else that you would recommend people check out, or other events similar to this, or maybe adjacent to events like PAX that think could be cool. So take a moment for that. Now, Abu and Mark.
Yes.
So everybody else got to choose a character to read a tagline from a film. I would like you both to choose a character to do this very brief scene from a famous movie. There are two characters. The characters are devoid of name and gender. I will hand you these. I will let you quietly talk to one another about which part you would like to play, part number 1 or part number 2. I assure you, you will recognize it. Just have a think about it. Now, but however, because I'm just going to try and cash in some favor points here from Mark, so I kind of have a request as to who I would like you to play.
Okay.
And this kind of stems from earlier on we were talking about I'm a big Batman guy. And what people probably don't know is that you're actually a very, very good Joker.
Oh, well, thank you.
So, unless everyone's angry that I'm not going to choose Commander Shepard, but you've all heard him do Commander Shepard.
Commander Shepard is just me trying to sound tough anyway. It's just my own voice. So,
I would love for you, whichever part you choose between you, I'd love for you to do yours as Joker, unless either one of you have a problem with that.
of course. Now, I should mention, I did play the Joker recently. It was in essentially a fan film called Gordon, a Batman fan film, which is on YouTube. Check it out. So that'll be my version of the Joker then.
Correct.
As opposed to, yes.
Yes, correct. And Abu, choose whichever. You'll let us know which character you've chosen.
Okay.
Yeah. Have you chosen one yet?
Not yet.
No.
But,
Oh, so you're going to look at the script
Yeah,
first.
I've gotta see the
all
script,
right.
man.
Okay. Everyone else gets to look. All right. It's just one page each. You take a
Amazing.
moment. Just don't talk away from the mic. Okay. Laugh when you recognize the scene.
Okay,
I didn't tell them I was going to do this. So, Nina, are there spaces in Australian game dev that you think people should join? And feel free to have this as a free-flowing conversation between the three of you. Briefly.
As an
I'll take it off.
Australian, you should definitely be on Discord, because we've got this thing called the Avo. It's the Australian voiceover Discord server. So I think it's AVO_AUS. Can I get a confirmation from anybody? Yes?
Go put his thumbs up.
Yes? Okay, cool. AVO_AUS on X. Whatever that thing is now. It should have all the links on there. Jump on the Discord. There's always 24/7. I bet you will find some Australian on there who's happy to chat and give advice on things. There's a critique channel on there if you want some feedback on things. If you have questions, if there's any tricky situation that comes up for you that you'd like someone to help you with. Aimee is on there. Are you on there? Everyone's on there. You should get on there.
I should get on there.
But I swear most of my mentors, they don't know they're my mentors, but they secretly are my mentors. We're all on there. It got me through this time. So yeah, definitely recommend that. That's my big one.
Kevin or Jess, anything to add? Bearing in mind we've got 28 seconds.
Games Week, all the events that are on Games Week, like attend those and meet with people that way and connect with people that way.
Yeah,
What's
that's a good-
Games Week, Jess? Because I think most
Games
people don't know
Week-
what that is, actually.
Well, Games Week is the wonderful magical week that leads up to PAX, and there's various events that happen all throughout in the lead up to PAX. I cannot name any off the top of my head for you right now because it is the afternoon and I've run out of ADHD medication, but there are plenty of them. There are plenty of them, and they're a really great way to connect with established game designers, video game designers, up-and-coming video game designers, and to build like network and community that way. I find that to be very beneficial.
And Kevin, just quickly, for those of us who are not drug traffickers or Zillennials and we're on Facebook and not Discord, could you just mention a couple of the Facebook groups that are cool, if they still exist? Do they?
That's a tricky one. I have mixed feelings about the Australian Facebook groups.
Okay,
so
then. I will not.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
Discord is
Is it?
probably, to be honest, if you're serious about voiceover in Australia, then bite the bullet and get on Discord, because the resource that is that community is incredible. And without trying to cast aspersions, the tone that is in there and the collective, like just the spirit of it, is something that I don't think you're going to find on most other areas where people in Australia gather from a voiceover perspective for social media.
That alone is golden advice, because, for instance, that's where I would have gone, and now that I know that, that's really good. And then that's, networking. Yeah. Okay, now, I just want to give everyone in the audience an opportunity. I can tell you one thing, with this finale that we're doing with Abu and Mark, I don't know if it's going to be good, but it is only going to happen once. So if you would like to get your phone out and record it, I would probably... Now, I'm just going to ask you 2 questions. Please don't spoil anything. And if any of you don't know what this is from, you get the hell out, okay? Now, Abu, are you playing number 1 or number 2?
I'm playing number 1.
And who are you playing number 1 as?
Rokan from World of Warcraft.
Okay. And Joker number 2?
I'm playing number 2, and I will be doing it as my version of the Joker.
Okay, well, whenever you're ready, take it away.
Okay, now, tell me about the ash bars.
What do you want to know?
Well, ash is legal there, right?
Yeah, it's legal, but it ain't 100% legal. I mean, you can't walk into a restaurant, roll a joint, and start puffing away. You're only supposed to smoke it in your home or in certain designated places.
Those are hash bars?
Yeah, it breaks down like this. It's legal to buy it, it's legal to own it, and if you're the proprietor of a hash bar, it's legal to sell it. It's illegal to carry it, which doesn't really matter, because get a load of this. If the cops stop you, it's illegal for them to search you. Searching you is a right that the cops in Amsterdam don't have.
Oh, that did it, man. I'm fucking going. That's all there is to it.
Oh, you'll dig it the most. But you know what the funniest thing about Europe is?
What?
It's the little differences. A lot of the same shit we got here, they got there. But there it's a little different.
Example?
Well, in Amsterdam, you can buy a beer in the movie theater. And I don't mean in a paper cup either. They give you a glass of beer, like in a bar. In Paris, you can buy a beer at McDonald's. Also, you know what they call a quarter pounder with cheese in Paris?
Hey, they don't call it a quarter pounder with cheese.
No! They got the metric system there. They wouldn't know what the fuck a quarter pounder is.
So, what they call it?
Royale with cheese.
Royal with cheese? They call it Big Mac.
A Big Mac's a Big Mac, but they call it Le Big Mac.
Le Big Mac. What they call a Whopper?
I don't know. I didn't go into Burger King. But you know what they put on French fries in Holland instead of ketchup?
What?
Mayonnaise.
God damn!
I've seen them do it, and I don't mean a little bit on the side of the plate. They fucking drown them in it.
Oh, thank you very much to the panel. This is So You Want to Be a Voice Actor. Big thanks to Kevin, Jess, Nina, Mark, and Abu. Abu's getting on a plane right after this, so we better go. We're done, so we can...
Cue the theme song.